All right, welcome in everybody to another edition of our Bulls video mailbag series. As always, we appreciate your questions. In fact, we've got 5 this week because the first 2 are kind of related. And let's start with those. Our first one comes from @𝗏𝗏 Who falls out of the big man rotation when Vooch returns? Followed up by @_blitz_dragon. I think I butchered that, but you get the point. Adding to this, could or should Billy run a 2 big man lineup, Vooch and Smith, or Vooch and Collins? All right, obviously we are answering this after Nikola Vucevic returned Monday night under a minutes restriction. He did come off the bench. Zach Collins remained a starter. Jalen Smith was your odd man out. Did not play by coach's decision against his former team, the Indiana Pacers. Pre-game, Billy Donovan talked about the need for sacrifice at this position moving forward for multiple reasons, because obviously now you've got 3 centers, all of whom are playing at a high level, and you just don't have enough minutes to go around because, to the second point, Billy Donovan is not really into the 2 big man rotation. Now, he did say he planned to use Wednesday's practice at the Advocate Center to try to take a look at that a little bit, because they just have not had a lot of practice time since Zach Collins was acquired. They haven't really even been able to practice with 2 big men, especially with Nikola Vucevic injured. But Wednesday's practice will afford that opportunity. But even if it goes well, and there's no guaranteeing that it will, Billy Donovan has been very clear and consistent with his style of play, which is play fast, quick decisions, move the ball side to side, take a lot of 3-pointers. You really only need 1 big man for that, and more often than not, Billy Donovan likes 4 guards out there. So I do think you may see this maybe as an experimental look, the double big lineup, once or twice down the stretch, but I do not expect to see it a lot. So back to the previous point, you're going to need to see some sacrifice from the center position, because all 3 of those guys have played well. All right, next question comes from @McDRiley97. What is your guess for Josh Giddey's annual salary on his next contract? Now, for you astute Bulls video mailbag viewers, you'll remember that we have already answered this question several weeks ago, but we ask it again and answer it again because, man, has Josh Giddey been on a heater. He's been playing at an extremely high level since the All-Star break, and that begs the question, who is the real Josh Giddey? The one that was inconsistent and struggling to start the season, or the one who is playing at this high level post-All-Star break? It's really going to be a calculus that management's going to have to weigh, because they are obviously the ones who are going to be trying to sign him to this deal. I've said many times, you have to play hardball. He is a restricted free agent. You have the ability to match any offer sheet he gets. There are not a lot of teams projected to have salary cap space this offseason. So I think you hold to a number and say, if you want to beat this number, you go out and get an offer sheet and beat that offer. What is that number? I have before said I see that in the 20 to 22, maybe 24 million range, probably closer to the 24 million range with the way he's playing. And you can say, that's a lot of money. Well, Jalen Suggs signed for $30 million annually last offseason for his rookie contract extension. The salary cap is going up. $24 million for a projected long-term starting guard is actually not that high of a salary. So I think if you get something in that 4-year, maybe 88, $96 million range, I think you're in a good spot. All right, next question comes from @ChicagoSwingman, a regular asker. We like this guy or gal. Coby White has been a major talking point this season. Some people have been keen to moving on from him with his recent play. If he continues with this form, do you think he will be a major piece for this team moving forward? Or will there be discussions of moving on him this summer? This is such a difficult question. Here's why. To me, man, Coby White has become the heart and soul of this team. You could say Nikola Vucevic is maybe a more skilled player. You could say 𝗻𝗁ci 𝗰𝗶𝗹 is the more of the future. Coby White, to me, is the heart and soul. He is such a competitor. You move his role every season. You change his role. You ask him to play on the ball. You ask him to play off the ball. You ask him to start. You ask him to come off the bench. All he does is try to impact winning and compete at a high level. I have to have a lot of respect for the way he approaches his craft, his professionalism, his loyalty to this franchise. Now that said, it's well documented he can only re-sign an extension at 140% of his current number. He has outplayed his current deal. So do the Bulls try to get out ahead of that this offseason and have trade talks surrounding Coby White? He, to me, is probably your biggest asset in terms of what the return would be for him. I'm not saying the Bulls want to trade Coby White because I said before, he is so valued internally. I'm just saying these are the hard discussions and conversations that management and front offices have to have. So I personally think he will be here long term, and the Bulls will have to get creative for a way to try to re-sign him, especially with the way he's playing. And he really fits with this lineup moving forward. I mean, he plays very well alongside Josh Giddey. To his credit, he's figured out how to play alongside of him. Obviously, Lonzo Ball is re-signed as a backup to both those players. So we'll see how this plays out. But Coby White's future always seems to be a question in Bulls land, and we'll probably be answering another one before the end of this season. All right, our last question comes from @𝗦𝗏𝗶𝗹 Ben Simon. What gum does Billy Donovan vigorously chew while he coaches? Now, I call myself a reporter. I have failed you, Ben. I meant to ask Billy Donovan this question Monday night after the Pacers game, but I forgot. So I will get the answer at some point, and I will include it in a future episode of a Bulls video mailbag. I will just tell you this: whatever gum he has, his son chews it the same way. Have you ever watched Billy Donovan III coach a G League game? It's uncanny. They chew gum both vigorously, both intensely, both habitually, whatever adjective you want to use, man. They do it a lot. But yeah, I got to get to the bottom of this because, as you know, we like to close the Bulls video mailbag with typically something lighthearted. So thanks again, as always, for all your questions, and we'll catch you next week with more content on the Bulls video mailbag.